Oh, hi there, and welcome along to irishracing.com. You are watching Eyecatchers. There were a lot of things catching the eye, weren't there? Here at Prestbury Park. I can't believe it's a week ago already. But we're going to look forward, not backwards. In the company, as always, of Donn McClean. Dom, great to have you back on again. I lie. I do lie slightly when I say we're not going to look back. We are. But with a view to the future, just on a wider point, first of all, the Cheltenham Festival we were discussing off air, this year's in particular, it was absolutely bonkers at times, wasn't it? I mean, absolute drama from day one, and some wonderful, poignant stories along the way as well, and upsets aplenty. It just seemed to be the mantra for the week.
Yeah, what a weekend. Look, the Cheltenham Festival, there's always a lot going on. There are always stories emanating from the week. But yeah, just as we were saying off air there, just felt that this year was more than usual. Like the champion hurdle was kind of crazy, really, to have the set of events happening that happened in the champion hurdle was just bananas. But, it also, fair play to the owner, Jeremy Scott, and the owners for having a go with Golden Ace. She was there to pick up whatever pieces were available, and she picked up all the pieces in the end. And then, as you said, the poignancy of the Michael O'Sullivan connection on the Wednesday, with first of all Marine Nationale winning, which was that was massive, and memories of Michael O'Sullivan, the Supreme Novices Hurdle the previous day, was run in his memory, and then for Jazzy Matty to go and win as well, the two horses on whom he'd won 2 years ago on the first day of the Cheltenham Festival, for them both to win. Like Henry de Bromhead said afterwards, he said something like there's something going on, there's more than we know about. And of course Henry, like his son Jack, was tragically killed, and he won the Mayor's Novices Hurdle, after whom the race that was named after Jack 2 years ago, the Jack de Bromhead Mayor's Novices Hurdle, and he won it this year with Air of Entitlement. And then that was the day Henry de Bromhead, Rachel Blackmore. That was the Thursday. What a day! Like brilliant, Rachel Blackmore too. Fantastic rides on her on Air of Entitlement, and on Bob Ollinger later on, a horse who'd never won over 3 miles before, to go and win a Stairs Hurdle. And the way she rode him, like stone cold at the back, ninth of the nine remaining runners running down the hill, and to deliver him like she did. And then the Gold Cup on Friday, continuing the theme of the unexpected through the week. Galopin de Champ to go to run the race that he ran, to battle like he did, and still to be beaten in the Gold Cup by a horse, Gavin Cromwell's horse, who could, like, another way of thinking, he's only 7, young horse. The last 2 7-year-olds to win the Gold Cup went and won it the following year as well. So he's got that in the side as well. But yeah, it was what a week.
Absolutely mad. You didn't even mention Ballyburn unplaced, Mashborough beaten, Tahupu beaten, John Bond beaten. Yeah, absolutely it was. It was absolutely crackers, but thoroughly enjoyed every single second of it. So with that in mind, Don, I believe you've come up with 5 horses come out the Cheltenham Festival, which you think it could pay to follow going further forward. And then at the end of the show, we've got a couple of questions for the audience, and one from myself as well, Don, which we've not scripted this. I've deliberately not let you see.
Yeah, I'm worried about that.
Yeah, well, we can get your instinctiveness, your erudite genius off the cuff to answer those when put on the spot. But a little bit of fun at the end. A couple of people have been on touch on social media channels. But we will, without further ado, kick off with horse number 1 then, from your eye catchers from the Cheltenham Festival, Don. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, so on the Tuesday, Myretown, he's the ultimate chase winner. Look, he's not obvious, but I thought the way that he did it and the figures that he clocked were the figures of a horse who could continue to improve. Like, this is only his 5th chase. Like, he got an easy lead. There was a standing start, and he got into his racing rhythm from very early on, and he wasn't really pressured. It was a finishing speed of 108%, so it wasn't a fast pace, and it was probably an advantage to race up with it, and he led, but his jumping was so good. And then for me, it was the way that he quickened then inside the final part of the race. Like, he was fastest of all through the last 4 furlongs. He was actually nearly 2 seconds faster, according to Race IQ, than his fastest rival through the final 4 furlongs. So to be able to lead, albeit at a moderate pace, but to be able to lead and then to quicken away like that inside the final 4 furlongs, that was impressive. His penultimate furlong was a second and a half faster than the next fastest, so he was just quickening all the time. He's 8 years old now, but he's only had those 5 runs over fences. the handicapper, like, he was really well supported. Obviously, lots of people thought that he was well handicapped on a mark of 127, and they were all very right. He got a £15 hike for that. I don't think that was overly harsh. Like, it's obviously a significant hike in terms of magnitude, but you would have expected something like that. He was so good in winning it, and I was kind of thinking, like, he does jump away left, a landed now and maybe the season, but I think Lucinda Russell said that they're probably not going to run him now between now and the end of the season, and they're keeping in, or the race they have in mind is the Coral Gold Cup at Newbury in November. Please God, I know that's a long way away, but you can see that makes an awful lot of sense. He's got that dominant style of racing that will suit that race. He's a good jumper. It's left-handed. Mark of 142. Like, he could be better than a handicapper, I think. So racing in a Hennessy or in a Coral Gold Cup off 142, that looks like a reasonable mark for him. And I just, wherever he goes now, I think we're keeping on side.
Yeah, indeed. Be interested whether he can make that jump up to the graded level, if you like, into Patton Company. If not, I suppose there is always the option to come back for the race and try and do a Corrick Ramiller, I suppose, and do back-to-back Ultimas at the festival if he doesn't end up bridging the gap to the topper echelons of graded racing.
Yeah, like he's a Grand National horse as well, Cork, isn't he? When he won the Grand National, so maybe that's where Myretown's going to end up. He could be a Grand National horse, but he could be anything. He's just a talented staying chaser who still has more to come. You would have thought, he's really lightly raced over fences. His jumping is so good, and he gets into his rhythm. He handles that kind of ground on the easy side good. That looks to be ideal for him. So yeah, it's just a really exciting horse for connections now.
Perfect. Right, so Myretown, put him away, and we'll think about him for Newbury in the last week of November or first week of December. We'll be back on for the show then, and you'll be smiling when he lines up as favourite, no doubt. So yeah, Myretown, horse number 1 to keep in your trackers throughout the summer. The second one, please, Dom.
And another winner, Jazzy Matty, was just the plan that King Collins hatched to get him back to Cheltenham to win a Grand Annual. He only sent one horse to Cheltenham, King Collins, and he's a young trainer on the up. He's only with a license now for 3 years, and he's had 20 runners in Britain this season so far. He's had 5 winners, so the strike rate of 25% with his British runners and his winners in Ireland. I think he's had 15 winners in Ireland, more than last year, and he's just a trainer on the up. And Jazzy Matty, I think he was thinking of the novices handicap chase, but like 2 miles, he decided to go for the Grand Annual, and Jazzy Matty was his last run before the Grand Annual was over hurdles, when he stayed on really well to finish second behind St. Louis in a hurdles race at Thurles. That was back in January, and then came on here and given a super ride by Danny Gilligan. He just, watching the race again, he just did everything so easily, just in behind the pace. He travelled well, he jumped well. And when he came from the outside of Unexpected Party, I was with Unexpected Party. I thought he was ready to do the double, and he ran really well. He was £6 higher than last year. He ran really well, but when Jazzy Matty joined him at the second last, you always thought that he was going to go on and win it. He only won by a length and a half in the end, but I think that was probably had a bit more in hand than that. And he's only a 6-year-old. He's a Fred Winter hurdle winner, of course. He was the horse on whom Michael O'Sullivan won the Fred Winter when he was trained by Gordon Elliott then. But it looks like he's continuing to improve. He could go to Punchestown now. He's got a hurdle mark of 125. So if you were to go over hurdles, he won this off 135, a British mark of 135. His new Irish mark of fences is 142, but he's still got that hurdles mark of 125. And King Collins said that he might think about running over hurdles now at Punchestown. So he could be a well-handicapped horse over hurdles. But I'm going forward into, onto the summer, some of those big handicap chases maybe during the summer, and then into next season. He's only 6, so I think he's a horse worth following. A horse he's just continuing his upward trajectory.
There's still a lot of time on his side, as you say. Not many miles on the clock as well, and I suppose the good ground as well. Looking at his profile, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there, about perhaps the rain, snow, and sun throughout the week. But as a general rule, especially on the old course for the first 2 days, it was riding on the livelier side, wasn't it? And that clearly suited him.
Yeah, no, he's kind of a goodish ground horse. He wouldn't want the ground to be too soft. But look, like when he won the Fred Winter hurdle, it was soft ground that day, I think. So he's fairly adaptable as well. But I think he is at his best on isn't too soft, just kind of on the easy side of good, which is ideal. And that's what he should get. We kind of soft ground Punchestown sometimes, but generally that's what he's going to get now for the next little while. And I think wherever he goes, Punchestown and on to maybe Galway and into the summer, he's a horse worth keeping in mind.
Indeed. Unfinished business for Jazzy Matty moving further forward. Keep your eyes on where that horse ends up over the next couple of months or so. Right, horse number 3 then, Dom.
3 is Rocky's Diamond. We spoke about him. Yeah, my old buddy. We spoke about him. I thought he ran a big race. He ran a big race in the Stairs Hurdle. He was up at the pace from early. Gall Road set the pace, and he was just up on the outside of him. Then he took it up the 5th last, and then even when he was headed on the road to the home turn, he still stuck on really well. Like, he finished 4th in the end. He wasn't beaten that far, and like, he's only 5. That was obviously the worry about him going into the race. Was he old enough, mature enough for the Stairs Hurdle? And thought he ran well, given that he's a 5-year-old, as we discussed before. No 5-year-old had ever won the Stairs Hurdle since it adopted its current format in 1972. I think it was. Not many horses, not many 5-year-olds running the race. There hadn't been a 5-year-old runner since 2015. But at the same time, you can see Rocky's Time. Like, he won the Galway Hurdle. No 5-year-old had ever won the Galway Hurdle before he won it as well in February at Gorham Park. And you just think that maybe with another year in his belt, I don't know what Declan Quealy's plans are for him, if he's going to go over fences, if he's going to stay over hurdles. But if he stays over hurdles, then the staying hurdle division, it's not a deep division. No. So you can see him maybe improving next year as he gains in maturity, and those kind of staying hurdles through the season, maybe the Lismullen Hurdle the early part of the season or 2.5, and then on to the Christmas Hurdle and back maybe for the Boyne Hurdle or straight Stairs Hurdle. If he does stay over hurdles, then I can see him a big factor in all those staying hurdles next season. Yeah,
indeed. Well, it's interesting. I was going to throw in a couple of eye catchers at the end, and he was one of them. That's why I laughed. As you say, as a 5-year-old, a terrific run. Interesting. There is a quote from Declan Quealy saying they will think about Punchestown, whether he's had enough or not for the season, because he had quite a hard race. And then he will sit down and have a chat with the owner over the summer as to whether they go the novice chase route or stay over hurdle. So it doesn't really answer a lot, really. But what it does answer is the fact the decision for next season hasn't been made in earnest. But as you say, would only be 6 in next year's Stayers Hurdle. It looks the obvious route for me at the moment, because you still have plenty of time to go chasing further on, wouldn't he? So, Rocky's Diamond, indeed. A run I think you can upgrade as a 5-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. And look, it was a really admirable performance that he put up. He's a half brother to the little Yank, I think. So he's got that kind of tenacity that goes with that. And you wouldn't mind seeing him. It'll be exciting to see him over fences whenever he goes over fences. But I think maybe there might be a wee bit more to. He might have a little bit more capacity in his hurdling career before he takes the step and goes over fences.
Wonderful. That's Rocky's Diamond. Look out for that horse next season. As you say, plenty of options for Declan Quealy's individual. Right, horse number 4 then, please, Dom.
Probably the first 2 home in the Martin Pipe Hurdle, I think, are worth keeping in mind. Wodhooh, she's very obvious, but she could be really, really good. Like, this is, she is really, really good, but she still could be better. Like, she's never been beaten over hurdles. This is her 7th run over hurdles, her 7th win. Yeah. And she won so well. Like, didn't she? She was so impressive in winning it. You could have called her as the most likely winner from a long way out. And like, she won by over 4 lengths at the end, but I think she had way more in hand than that. She was racing off a mark of 141. Her new Irish mark is 151. Again, you can't really argue with that. She won with such authority, and I think she deserves to start thinking about graded races, like even the Mayor's Champion Hurdle at Punchestown over 2.5 miles. That's a grade 1 race, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were thinking about that. And she's just a seriously improving mare. She's only 5. Again, lots of potential upside to her. So I think she's definitely worth keeping in mind wherever she goes. She could go back on the flat as well. And the runner-up Act of Authority, I thought he did well. He stayed on really well. He was about 16th or 17th, jumping the second last flight. Yeah, and he was ridden. Yeah, he did. He was ridden back in the field by Lewis Saunders, and he kind of moved towards the inside whenever they straightened up for home. He stayed on really well. He's a point-to-point winner as well. It was only point-to-point, but he's never been beyond 2 miles 5 furlongs under rules. So he raced here as he raced at Warwick as if he might appreciate further, and he raced here again as if he might appreciate a later test of stamina. They didn't go a great pace in the Iron Pipe Hurdle, which is unusual for the race. The finishing speed was 106%. So you would have thought that maybe a truer test of stamina would suit an Act of Authority better, and he wouldn't have beaten the winner. However, they'd have run the race, he wouldn't have beaten Wodhooh. But I thought, given the set of circumstances and the way the race was run and the way he was ridden, I thought he did well to keep on, take second place. Like for home, you kind of thought, he's gonna stay on to finish in mid division, but he stayed on really, really well, and maybe a greater test of stamina, either up and trip or a stronger pace at this type of intermediate trip. So he's 7 years old and he's had 12 runs over hurdles, so he's not objectively speaking unexposed, but just think he's in the form of his life. Like, it was a really good run at Warwick last time. He won well at Sandown earlier in the season. This was probably a career best performance as well to put up the performance that he put up here. And I think he got a couple of pounds from the handicapper, up from, I think he was 134 here, he's up to 137 or maybe 138.
Yeah.
But I still think he's an improving horse and one worth keeping in mind wherever he goes for the remainder of the season. Like, he could go to one of those handicap hurdles at Aintree, maybe one of those could suit him, maybe a 3 mile handicap hurdle. But he's one worth keeping in mind, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is a 3 mile handicap hurdle at Cheltenham's April meeting as well. Just off the top of my head, I wondered if, as you say, it definitely feels like there's another pot in there. Just going back to the winner, do you think she'll stick to 2.5? Do you think there's a chance she'd come back to 2? Or even was the new course over an extended 2.5? Is there a chance she could get 3?
Yeah, I think they can do whatever they want with her. Like, she's so adaptable, she's so good. Like, she won that listed mare's hurdle at Doncaster over 2 miles on good ground. So she's got pace as well.
I was wondering where you think the future lies with her. I should rephrase my question probably.
Yeah, look, I think this 2.5 mile trip is a good trip for her. She's got that blend of speed and stamina that seems to suit the intermediate trip well. Yeah. But she's never been beaten, so we don't know where her ceiling lies, I think. But look, I think she's entitled to go now in a graded race. She's 1 for 1 at Punchestown. That Punchestown mare's champion hurdle, that's 2.5 miles. I'm really sure it's 2.5 miles. I think it is 2.5 miles. That could be a race that could suit her really well. So yeah, I don't see really any need to go up to 3 miles. I think 2.5 miles. A lot of those mare's races are they're over this 2.5 mile trip, and mare's hurdle next season, please God, that's 2.5 miles as well. So that could be a long-term objective. So yeah, I think she's got plenty in her favour.
Indeed, not long now, but she's around 8-1 to win next year's mare's hurdle, and as you say, that seems to be a niche trip, the 2.5 miles, and she did. She jumped in the race, hitting the Cheltenham Hill, hasn't lost over hurdles, and is now rated in 150. So who knows where the ceiling of her ability is? So I suppose that's technically your 5 then, isn't it, Don? With Act of Authority in the same race.
Yeah, leaves it at 5. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the difficulty was in narrowing it down to 5.
Indeed. Well, indeed. So just to recap those, we've got Myretown, Jazzy Matty, Rocky's Diamond, Wodhooh, and Act of Authority. That's Don 5 to follow. Keep those in your trackers. No doubt they'll be coming out at Aintree, Punchestown, and beyond as we move further forward. I laugh because I did mention Rocky's Diamond. It was going to be one of the 3 I was flagging up. 2 I wanted to flag up was 1 6.5. Now, I'd be really fascinated. I might be really losing my marbles here, but I wonder if she is the long shot of all long shots for the champion hurdle picture. I was just so impressed, by the way, on the new course, let's not forget, over 2-1. She just travelled almost she did. She travelled like Golden Ace did last year and winning the Mares and Officers Hurdle. I mean, she just absolutely just moved into contention like a mare who's going to win 10 lengths hard held. And then, I mean, some people have questioned tactics, attitude, whatever. Was she outstayed by that of entitlement? But collared late on in the last 100 yards. I just wanted basically a more conventional 2 miles, coming back a furlong in trip on a strongly run 2, and perhaps being able to be delivered late and not left as in front as soon. A scenario slightly different may really suit her. I'd be interested in what they do with her going further forward. Well, the general consensus is she'll step forward and be an individual for next year's Mares Hurdle. personally, she's just showed so much speed. I'm not sure whether 2.5 might see her to all her strengths, put it that way. But don't know what you thought of 6.5. That kind of summed up that week, really. I mean, I stood with a whole load of punters who were literally turning around to walk to the bookies to collect their cash, and then again another upset in the last 50 yards.
Yeah, I watched the Triumph Hurdle in the stands with the Triumph Hurdle.
I haven't even mentioned that. Yeah, 101 minutes.
And then at the end of the race, everyone's looking at the race card to see what's that? What's the but no, I totally agree about 6.5 Edge. She was very good. She did everything right. Keaton had delivered her to go and win a race. She's got the near rail as well to race against up the hill. He's only just asked her after jumping over the last. She traded at 1.04 in running. And next thing, Irv Entitlement comes. I kind of, again, watching the race live, I saw Irv Entitlement making her ground towards the far side, and I thought she's going to run a really nice race now and finish second or third. Even on the run to the last, I didn't think for a second she was going to win it. Rachel Blackmore did, though. She said afterwards that going to the last, she thought the way her horse was going forward, the way Irv Entitlement was keeping to progressing, she thought she had every chance of getting to 6.5. And yeah, she's a Irv Entitlement, she might be going under the radar a little bit because she won well. I think her dam's a half sister to Rogue Angel, an Irish national winner. So lots of stamina. It's 2 miles, 1 furlong. It'll be very much at the lower end of her stamina range. You think she'll improve for going up to 2.5 at least. And 6.5, look, she's a class mare. She's got a flat rating of 94. So, and coming on here, it's only her second run over hurdles as well. So yeah, I agree with you. I wouldn't see any limit yet to where she could go, and a greater test of pace or speed, you'd think, as you say, should be ideal for her.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting where they do go the next, but be keeping my eyes on 6.5. And the final horse I was going to throw in is one who didn't actually run at the Cheltenham Festival, but kind of collateral form was massively enhanced by performances. And that was Kawabunga, who of course was runner-up to Kopek de Board earlier in the season, and then beat William Money when last seen. Now, that form really couldn't have worked out any better in the 2-mile novice hurdle division, considering Kopek de Board beat William Money in the Supreme. Just interesting. Obviously, Kawabunga missed the Cheltenham Festival with a small setback. But the horse will definitely be back next season, and they'll probably embark on a chasing career. I noticed Kawabunga's 33-1 for the Arkle and 25 for the Brown Advisory. I know this is an awfully ridiculously long way away, but given how well that novice hurdle form is working out, just instinctively, those prices seem wrong to me. I might be barking up the wrong tree, but the fact that Turners is no longer there, you can touch them up. The law of averages, he's going to end up in one of the two, either 33-1 or 25s. But essentially, the Irish novice hurdle form, as it often does, Don, looking very deep, especially in the 2-mile department.
Yeah, no, I thought the 2 novice hurdles, the 2 Grade 1 novice hurdles over 2 miles and 2.5, they were both very good races this year. Kopek de Board winning it, and the 2 horses he beat into second and third, William Money and Romeo Coolio. I think that those 2 are very good, and likewise the New Lion and the Yellow Clay and Final Demand in the Turners, they were all very good. But as you say, Kawabunga, bit of a forgotten horse. I'd actually backed him for the Turners anti-post, which was no good. But it's just all the prices you're quoting are for the chases. They're definitely going over fences next season, we think.
Wait, we don't know, but the quote I read was we'll probably look at fences next season. I mean, he didn't strike me as a champion hurdle type, put it that way. So, but yeah, we shall see. But definitely one. I'll be really looking at his physical stamp compared to William Money. He looked like he dwarfed William Money. Now, William Money's, incidentally, he's going over fences, been confirmed by Barry Connell. They're going to, quote, work back from the Arkle. That's going to be the plan for William Money. But I just thought Kawabunga, he's a horse who hasn't raced at Cheltenham, but by staying in his stable, his claims are probably being enhanced. So, yeah, so 6.5 and Kawabunga, 2 I'm going to be keeping an eye on throughout the summer, Don. So we've got your 5, we've got my couple for what it's worth, and now we've got a couple of questions from the floor. We're going to throw these 2 off the cuff here, Don. No pressure at all. Ian got in touch to say, champion hurdle, what a race. One of the most dramatic days I've been at Cheltenham over many a year. If I could give you a crystal ball now, who wins next year's champion hurdle? I cannot for the life of me work out how this is going to work out. There's a lot going on in that question there. It's quite a loaded question, but thank you for getting in touch, Ian. I see the point, really. State Man will be 10, won't he? Brighter Days Hair, by all accounts, is going chasing. Golden Ace, mathematically, probably had a moment in the sun. I don't think Jeremy Scott would see that as a rude comment. Constitution Hill, be 9. Yeah, something's got to come through, or has it? Yeah, we've got Punchestown where they might all clash. I mean, if I could give to you, it's a bit of fun, really. Fast forward to just under a year from now. I mean, who do you think is going to be the horse to really progress on into next year's 2-mile open hurdle scene, shall we say?
Yeah, it's a fascinating division now, Ed, isn't it? As you say, like they've priced up for the Punchestown Champion Hurdle, and if they all go Golden Ace, the Champion Hurdle winner is a 14-1 or a 16-1 shot. The man who won the Champion Hurdle, so it just shows you. And we kind of caught up in Constitution Hill and State Man. You know, they either of those could have won the Champion Hurdle if things had turned out a wee bit differently. But yeah, as you say, they're both going to be 9, and statistically, it's hard for once you go over 8, it really seems to be a factor in a Champion Hurdle picture.
Yeah.
It depends what the novices do, doesn't it? Like Kopek de Boer, if he stays over hurdles, I think he could be a massive player in the Champion Hurdle pick next season. Well,
it would be fascinating, won't it? It sounds like the Skelters have already said they're going to look at the fighting 5th and look to, potentially the Champion Hurdle is going to be the aim for the new Lion. So I suppose from the younger brigade, the new Lion and Kopek, what they do with Kopek de Boer, as you say, that's the two interesting horses, isn't it, in terms of the younger ones? So I hope that's clarified things, Ian. But yeah, it is fascinating. I would be with the new Lion. That'd probably be where I'd go. And I suppose we've got the big unknown is, would they finally roll the dice with Lossiemouth back at 2 miles as well, given she won head in chest, something else to bear in mind. But a lot of water under the bridge between now and then. But Punchestown Hurdle, hopefully we do get Constitution Hill State Man rematch with Golden Ace in there, and let the carnage commence. That's all I can say. Question number 2 is from Dan to Don. Can you ask Don which horse disappointed Don the most, and has he now crossed through moving forward? So who's on your unforgivable list, Don? Is there any horse? Doesn't necessarily have to be when he dropped out the back of the television, but was there a horse you just thought didn't really do anything to get you excited, and now you're treading carefully with? Anything that springs to mind immediately?
Yeah, we chatted about Billy Byrne beforehand, Ed, and he just, I don't know what it is. He's obviously a horse who's got immense talent. He does race with his head down low, but it seemed to be lower this time than ever before. He didn't jump well. He was keen. Then he made that bad mistake. I just, in terms of, I suppose, on the day, he disappointed all right. But there should be more to. Obviously, there's more. There's more talent in there than he's able to show on the day. Interesting, Willie Mullins saying afterwards that they might just let him roll away in front and let him do what he can do, and that seems to make a lot of sense to me. So maybe because they restrained him in the race at Leopardstown, which he beat Croke Park, and he did that well. He settled it. He didn't settle fully, but he settled better than he had been settling. And he beat a good horse, I think, in Croke Park, and beat him well. He picked up well from the last, even though Croke Park touched down over the final fence in front of him. He stayed on really well. That was over the intermediate trip. Then over the longer trip in the Brand Advisory Chase, you can see why they were trying to settle him out the back and just switch him off. He just didn't switch off. So maybe that intermediate trip, 2.5 miles, and let him roll away. That maybe is there's a key to him somewhere. I'm sure Willie Mullins will find a lot more quickly than I could, but maybe that's it. Let's talk about I was saying he could go back over hurdles. That's not outlandish either. If he was such a good hurdle last season. Maybe back over hurdles and take up his place in the stairs hurdle division that, as we mentioned earlier on, seems to be devoid of a little bit of depth at the minute. I think Ballybyrne, hopefully more to come from him from what he showed at Cheltenham, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fair. Yeah, he disappointed. I'm going to throw him Brighter Days Ahead. I just thought you've got Constitution Hill full, you've had State Man full, and I thought she looked drunk crossing the line, to be honest with you. It's interesting now, Don, kind of on ratings, the 2 worst performances for each season have come at Prestbury Park. maybe she's kind of beef or salmon or chicken or cod or whatever you want to call her. Like maybe it's just she just doesn't bring her A game, or she drops off 10 pounds when she crosses the Irish Sea. I mean, it's 2 runs, but you do just start to worry now, don't you?
Yeah, like, is it just down to happenstance, or is there something else going on there?
Yeah.
And I think you could easily allow her last year's run because the pace wasn't fast. She was beaten by the champion hurdle winner as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, like, and I don't know if it's traveling. Like, she was very good at Aintree last season, so it's not traveling.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is it the contours of Cheltenham? Is it something else at Cheltenham? I don't know. Like, I think she was beaten so far out. Like, it just was a run that was too bad to be true. And just wasn't running. And I don't know, if a horse doesn't handle a track, for me, they don't underperform by as much as she underperformed. It just wasn't her running. So no, as you say, she's now disappointed twice or been beaten twice at Cheltenham. Her only 2 defeats have been there, so you have to tread warily when she goes back there. But yeah, I wouldn't be so dogmatic as to put it down to she doesn't handle track at the minute.
Yeah, fascinating point you raised there. It sounds like they're considering the 2.5 miler at Aintree over hurdles before embarking on a chasing career next season. That's the tentative plans for brighter days ahead, I believe, and it'd be interesting to see how they develop. But final question then, Don, is one from myself. You mentioned Punchestown, and then listening to connections, we're going to get, we hope, I know the way you're thinking, Galopin, Deschamps and Banbridge in a rematch at Punchestown. Which one of those 3 would you side with?
I think Galopin Deschamps is not at his best at Punchestown.
Yeah.
So I mean, like we've seen him in the John Durkin chase, the 2.5 mile trip is just not far enough for him. Ideally, he ran a big race last year. He got beaten by Fast Slow. Banbridge, yeah, like he didn't run a race either. Like, I was a big fan of Banbridge. I was with him in the Gold Cup, and he just, again, it wasn't the trip. He was beaten too far out for the extra. He's a King George winner, so it wasn't the extra 2.5 furlongs beat him. So he's going to have to bounce back. Now, Banbridge, he had the pace in the champion chase at Punchestown last season. He beat Captain Guinness in that. He needed every yard of the 2 mile trip at Punchestown the last year. But Punchestown, as you know, a sharp 2 miles, and he did well to win it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to bet on that. Another way of thinking, of course, he's the Gold Cup winner. He sets the standard. He comes into the race on an upward trajectory. He's only a 7-year-old as well. He's going to have a nice spread between Cheltenham and Punchestown. So I think he's the most likely winner of the race in my book. But if they went a silly price about Banbridge, then I'd have to be interested in him again, right over the cliff with him.
Yep, I'm going to follow you off the cliff with Banbridge here, Don. He's got a bit of history for this, though, hasn't he? If you look back, as you pointed out, to Cheltenham last year on soft ground, never went a yard in a Ryanair chase, and came back to win, wasn't it? I think he's done it before as well by bouncing back at Aintree. So it was too bad to be true. As you say, he was beaten over half a mile from home, so there was something not right there. Joseph O'Brien couldn't quite put his finger on it, but providing we get some nice bit of spring ground for Punchestown, she said, I just got a feeling that there is unfinished business there for the King George winner. So I am with Banbridge as well. So, well, thanks for that, Don. We've got a whole catalogue of horses to keep us busy over the next couple of months. And I suppose, yeah, just finally, it's 2 weeks to the Grand National. That's taking shape, and you'll be on the ground for Punchestown as well. So still plenty to look forward to for National Hunt fans.
Yeah, because you kind of. It's funny because during the year you don't really think beyond Cheltenham, bar when for that like day or two the Grand National weights come out, and you kind of everything is building towards Cheltenham. Then suddenly Cheltenham's over, and you're like, oh, it's over now. But then 2.5 weeks later we had Aintree, and then Fairyhouse, and then Punchestown, and Scottish Grand National as well. So yeah, still plenty to come.
Absolutely, yeah. We didn't mention Fairyhouse, the over 2.5, the big grey one there. Very much looking forward to that as well. Don, my thanks to you once again. No doubt we'll be back in the hot seats in the not too distant future. My thanks to you for watching at home. Hope you've scribbled down all those notes and those horses there from the Eyecatchers show. And of course, don't forget to check out irishracing.com for all the latest news, views, and features with the Grand National now just a couple of weeks away. We'll see you again soon. It's bye for now. Bye.